Hi, everybody. This won't be a long stream, but there is just something I wanted to say, and I didn't feel like recording a separate video. So, a couple days ago, we had the robbery at the Louvre. Um, if you've ever been there, beautiful place. I was there, God, it must have been like 15 years ago or so, but just beautiful building. And due to sheer incompetence or whatever, a bunch of thieves broke in and stole a bunch of the crown jewels of France. Um, and so I was just looking at it and just look at the beautiful stuff that was stolen. Look at it. Can we even make shit like this anymore? I mean, and that's something I always think about is whenever like Republican governments or something or modern governments, what is it that they always show off? It's always stuff that royalty made. It's always stuff from the distant past. And they can't make anything like this, but we have this gorgeous stuff and it was stolen. Um it'll probably be melted down, the jewels will probably be sold off, and that intangible piece of French culture and French history will be gone, never to return. And the thing is, we are seeing some people upset about it. We're seeing people say that it's a failure and it's bad, and people are pointing fingers and blaming and stuff like that. But honestly, the thing I always find it was the first woman ever in the history of the Louvre who is currently in charge. But and I'll say this: I think that they should. I would not object if they didn't execute the people who did this for attempting to destroy an intangible part of French history. But my point is, you will get articles like this, but I doubt you will see a single article in the BBC bemoaning the loss of the people who created those jewels. The people who founded France, the people who were there since it was Gallo Rome, the people who are descendants of Clovis and Charlemagne and Hugh Capet, and the people who built France into the country that it was today. The loss of thousands of years of toil and wishes and suffering and effort to create a society in their image. And that going away doesn't even merit a single article. And I just think that that's something to point out. And you guys know me, I love history. I love all kinds of history, not just European, Chinese, Japanese, Middle Eastern, whatever. And it hurts me when stuff like, it doesn't matter if this is French or Japanese or Korean or whatever. Whenever like a piece of this gets destroyed, it saddens me. I do believe very strongly in the common heritage of humanity, of mankind, but the French people are rapidly going extinct. They're being replaced. They're not having children anymore. And that doesn't even merit like a single article. To even say that would be a statement of hate. To say that there's some sort of inherent value in not just these things, not just these things, but in the descendants of the people who produced them, of the Chinese people, the descendants of the people who built the Great Wall of China, who invented the imperial examination system, of the people who built Machu Picchu. Like the idea that none of that has any inherent value, it just kind of bothers me. And just when I look at this, it's just such a farce. I don't know. Hopefully people get what I'm trying to say. Like it's terrible, but at the same time, like why do these people even really care? Macron doesn't like France. Macron hates France. The BBC hates France. The BBC hates Britain. All of these people fucking hate everything that old school art and historical artifacts in places like this represent. But we're gonna have to try to pretend to care about it. I don't know. I just find it gross, and it is really sad that this happened. But yeah, it's one of the reasons I like to go to museums so much is, and I felt this especially when I went to the I forget what the museum is in Berlin. Um, I think it might just be called the Egyptian Museum. But when I went there, and I looked at, they have, if you've ever get a chance to go to Berlin, they have some of the most beautiful museums in the world there. And just to look at, yeah, like I got to see the bust of Nefertiti, and just to say, like, the people who created that, I guess they don't necessarily exist anymore, or and the descendants do, but just to sit there and go, somebody 3, 4, 5,000. The Pergamon Museum is unfortunately closed at the moment. The new museum, newest museum, but there were people back then, thousands of years ago, who created these things, and we still have them today, and we can still look at them and we can go, that came out of the mind of someone from a completely different culture, a completely different worldview, a completely different time in history. And to see, and I care about these things a lot. And it's not just these though, it's the people. It's the idea that, like, the continuing existence of, like, the Egyptian people, the people who built this stuff, whatever you think about Egypt today, has no inherent value. That the continuing existence of the Japanese people has no inherent value. That the French people who built Versailles doesn't. It's just the fact that that's considered, like, a hate comment to make, I think just shows how fucked these people are. And it's made us, I think, in a lot of ways, is very cold and cynical, and if anything, it's kind of made us hate each other more, because now it's like, oh well, I'm defending some non-Western form of art, but it's just like I've been to Versailles. Versailles is one of the most magnificent things you will ever see on the face of the earth. It is gigantic. The gardens are the size of a theme park. Every aspect of it is just incredible. And if it was to be destroyed, it would be a great loss for all of mankind. But once again, the idea that the people who built this, the people from which the Bourbons came from, that they have no inherent value, and that when they're gone, no one is supposed to shed a tear for them. I don't know. It just bothers me on a fundamental level. I mean, hopefully I'm making sense here, but it's just I. And I think part of it for me is, I think identity is almost entirely, and I mean this at a personal level, is based on memory. Obviously, we have rational souls or not, and such, but your memory is what makes you you. And that's why I always think the worst disease is dementia. Because once you completely lost your memories and your ability to recall all the things that built you over the course of your life, it kind of is the death of self in a lot of ways. And a lot of this are the living memories of humanity. Our living identity. And once again, it's not just Versailles, it's not just the Louvre, it's not just whatever, it's just also the people. I don't know. Hopefully, I'm kind of making sense, but it just saddens me. And in ages past, if somebody did something like this, they'd probably get executed or something. But they probably won't even find it. They don't care. If someone's saying in the chat, if this happened in Hungary or Poland, they'd find the guys in like a couple hours and they'd be strung up. It's true. They would have. Those countries don't hate themselves the way that these do. I don't know. I remember when I went to Britain. So half my ancestors are English and half of them, well, English, Scots English, and half of them are German. I just remember when I went to England, particularly when I went to the cliffs of Dover. And I stood on the cliffs of Dover and I said, this is actually, I don't know if it's the right spot, but you get the point. This is where my Norman ancestors crossed over. I mean, I get that it was further south, but you get my point. This is where my ancestors crossed over. This is where hundreds of, like, dozens of generations that produced me came from. And just to see the things that my ancestors had built, and to be able to go, yeah, it's my own way. This is part of me. This is part of my heritage. This is part of my memory, my identity. To see the Tower of London and see Edinburgh Castle and stuff like that, and just to go, yeah, somewhere in my family tree, my ancestors made these. And I don't know. I just wanted to express that because it does bother me. Stuff like this. Fayhart says, if I remember correctly, the crown jewels of Poland are recreations because the Prussians melted them down into coins. I think the Polish even took old Prussian coins and used them to make the crown. See, that is something a rational society would do. That is something a rational people would do. Yeah, now it's just going to be Somalis are just going to replace it all. And once again, that's not to say that there hasn't been a lot of movement throughout Europe and Italians going places and French going places and stuff like that. But, and this is maybe like getting back to some kind of fairly early NRX stuff or whatever. But I don't know. I think part of what makes Earth and makes the human race so interesting is because we have all these things. Like to me, I like reading about Chinese history or Japanese history because it's a completely different alien civilization, but it is a civilization that developed on the other side of the world and has a completely different way of looking at things. I might disagree with it in a lot of respect, but if they were to disappear, I think we would be poorer for it. I don't know. The idea that everything has to be exactly the same, that we have to take all these unique things and blend them together, and that will somehow make humanity better. I don't know. Yeah, most modern art made by queer souls. It is. I mean, that is what they want. They hate beauty. They hate beauty. And once again, it's not just like Western beauty for me. Like I find Japanese architecture in particular very beautiful. Like the kind of simplicity of it. What was it again? like once again, it's just like looking at Persia or Iran, for instance. Like I look at that and I just go, that's amazing. Um, it's maybe not my taste exactly, but it's really neat to be able to just see that these things developed in different parts of the world and to I don't know. Well, and I guess once again, this is kind of how I feel in Canada. Is to me, this country was a binational country founded by the French and the English. The French portion of this, the French portion of this, um, sorry, the English portion of this country was built on being more loyal to the monarchy than England itself was, and that's just kind of gone. And what does it mean to be Canadian? It doesn't mean anything. The people who built this country don't matter. So Iran's going. Everybody's going through one. I. There is some good news though. Apparently, India's at sub replacement birth rate, but let me think here. What's some other cool stuff I've seen? If you ever get the chance, honestly, one of the most beautiful places in the world is Spain. Just seeing like the Alhambra and just the entire city of Granada is gorgeous. And once again, I mean, I obviously have my feelings about the Moorish invasion, but um, just that historical accident could produce such a fascinating mixture of styles. I don't know. And then we want a world in which nothing like that'll ever happen again. It'll just be bland. You know, it'll be like this. This is what they want. They want it to be this. They want the toilet museum with the ugliest art possible. If you've ever been to the Guggenheim, it's rough. It's not very good. That's the future that we're supposed to embrace. Is this? Let's see here. Yeah, all this stuff like that. Is that Trump? I think that's Trump. But yeah, stuff like this. That's cool, isn't it? Anyways, that was just my thoughts on the matter. Robbery at the Louvre. Oh, is it not? Oh, okay. Well, someone could have told me that. Oh, I feel stupid now. Um. Oh, okay. I had the wrong thing open this whole time. Wow. That's awkward. Okay, well, apologies for that. I have the right thing selected. Oh, I thought I did have the. Okay, well, that's my stupidity. I'm sorry. I had the wrong window selected. Um, Sorry. So here we are. This is the stuff that got stolen. I My apologies for having the wrong window. Yeah, this is what it looks like. The stuff that got stolen. Hopefully they can get some of it back, but I always like the sapphire, silver, platinum. I think it's a really nice kind of color mixture. Anyways, that's all I really wanted to say. I just kind of wanted to come on and talk about it for a minute, but and just get that off my chest. Anyways, guys, God bless. Thanks for those of you who watched. Have a